good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Juan Words podcast. My name is Angelica Casares.
And I'm Juan Alanis.
And welcome back. Welcome back. It's been months, Juanito.
Okay.
It has been months since the last time we recorded. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? How have you been? What's up? What's up? What's up?
More importantly, how are you guys doing?
I know. How, yeah, honestly, what's up? How's it been out there? How's everybody doing? It's been a while. You know how you like don't see a friend for a while?
Yeah.
And you come back and you're like, holy shit, what's new?
Yeah.
What's new? So what's new with you? What's new with everybody out there? Anything change? Any new exciting? Angelica, speak. Words. Anything exciting and new in your life that you'd love to share with us? Because we got some new and exciting news also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I think the last episode that we recorded was the 2022 goals, which was, I think we recorded it
February.
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, in February.
And, I went back. I was looking at our listenership the other day, the downloads, and that one I got a lot of downloads.
Did
so
it?
I guess people are like, I don't know if that means that people missed us, or that means that people were just like, wait a minute, what happened to
Maybe
these
it was
guys?
the topic. It was probably the topic.
They're like, were their goals to like leave the podcast and not come back?
I have to say it was probably the topic within itself.
Yeah.
Because it was a very interesting year, 2021, and then 2022 was a whole, like, everybody was like stepping back into like the world itself and getting back to like not normal. You know what? Normal isn't normal anymore. It's not what I thought it was. I've come back with like new perspectives and what I thought.
Pandemic?
Yeah, what I thought. I mean, the pandemic is still ongoing, and we all know this, right? Because I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope if you're sick, you're staying home. To begin with, I'm not a parent, so you know what to do. I'm just saying, take care of yourself. But
you say that you're not a what?
I'm not a parent. Like, I'm not people's parent.
Oh, I thought you were saying you're not a parent.
No, I am a parent. I am a parent, but I'm not people's parents. Like, I'm not going to parent anybody.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm saying is that...
I think she means she's not your parent.
Yes, I'm not your parent. Ustedes, y'all know how to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? What I'm saying is I hope you're taking care of yourself. I really do. But, so going back to 2020 goals and what I thought was going to be... I guess I was thinking I was gonna like pick back up on what was 2019.
2019?
Yeah, that's when everything started.
Oh, you mean before the pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna pick like back up. I was like, oh no, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta da. And I was like, wait, okay, with the hodgepodge of like growing the fuck up, turning 40, life happens. The kid graduated. Off to school he went, and then our priorities started to shift and change, and then
I feel you on that turning 40. Like
turning 40,
I just turned 40 this year, and I joined the club.
Fucking liars! You've been 40 for like what, the last 6 years?
So it's reversed. So I've been in my 40s. She joined the club.
I was like, what? You didn't turn 40. I turned 40. Excuse me. Don't be lying to listeners out here.
If you're not watching this on video, you can come to the video and you weigh in.
On what?
Which one of us looks like they just turned 40?
You're mean. You're being mean now.
I'm gonna lose you regardless. But like, just trying to get people to watch the video.
Juan over here trying to get like a sympathy out here, trying to get anybody. Tell me I look handsome and nice. Tell me I look, I don't know, pretty. No, but okay. So I thought my goals were going to be like kind of the same. I thought I was going to be the same. I'm a lot and so not the fucking same. How do you feel?
In what way though? Turning 40 or just being in 2022?
In 2022.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like I didn't have any expectations compared to after being in a pandemic for 2 years. Like I feel this year I didn't really have any expectations of like, oh, this or that is going to happen or not happen. I just kind of was like, you know what? I'm going to go with the flow and I was nervous about March, which I think I don't know if I talked about on that episode, but I was nervous about March because I was like, okay, it's March. Things this year seem to be going okay at the beginning, and when March was coming around the corner, I was nervous because I was like, oh, like what if this March turns out like March 2020, and then then all of a sudden everything changes. The another like hard version of the pandemic comes through. We have to shut down. We're like doing all that stuff again, and then it's going to be bad. But so other than that, like I really didn't have any other expectations going into the years. Like as far as like like that I felt too different.
Okay, so sum it up, Juan. So what are you saying?
What am I saying?
I guess you're saying that you didn't have any expectations
for 2022. I guess what I'm saying is like I didn't really like. I was trying not to like put my hopes up too high or too low, so that if anything did
somehow I feel like you're lying.
Why?
No, because I feel like you're not completely telling the truth out here. Yeah, because come on, Juan.
Unless I'm not remembering, but like I mean, I don't feel like I'm like any different. Because you said, how do you feel?
Sometimes Juan comes out here acting like portraying. Should I say maybe wrong choice of words? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe Juan comes out here like kind of like things don't bother me that much. That was expected. I'm not. I'm pretty cool. I'm cool. That didn't bother me.
But what do you think bothered me?
I can't put my finger on it, but I feel well. Okay, you know what? Let's start with the news.
No. But like,
let me start there. Let me start there. Absolutely, I can. I have no problem calling you out on things.
Tell me, like, because I don't remember. Like,
absolutely. The fact that we are now living, for the most part, in Arkansas. I think you came with personal expectations
of Arkansas.
And being here. Yes. I think you came with personal expectations. And I think that that was kind of your worry. That maybe you weren't going to like it, or that it was so unknown for you.
So what was my expectation? Like that I wasn't going to like it? Or that I wasn't sure if I was going to like it?
I think you were scared.
Scared of being here?
Scared of being away from Texas, whether it was here or whether we have gone somewhere else, out of the country, out of another state, into another city. I think you were scared.
Well, I mean,
leaving something so comfortable.
I was nervous about it. Yeah, like I was nervous about coming and like being somewhere completely new. If you like, I guess you could call it like, yeah, I probably was a little scared, but not like. Maybe I misunderstood your question originally.
Okay.
Because I thought you were asking me like, so how are you like right now? Or like,
no,
what you asked me, like you said like, what were your expectations or something like that? And I don't think I fully understood what you're asking.
Oh, my bad. Well, wrong. Then I guess I asked the wrong question.
No, you didn't ask the wrong question. I just didn't understand.
Okay.
But tell me like what you meant so I can answer. Like
No, that's what I meant. There's nothing to dive deep into. What I'm saying is, I think the expected was expected. It's we came to a new place. We don't know anybody here. We don't have family here. We don't really have like long life friends. There's nobody that we're really attached to here, and so it's been a scary time for me. I feel like, but for you, I think the anticipation of coming was harder for you. Me, it was excitement, but when I got here, I was like, oh, now the flood, the wave of like, oh shit, we're here alone, like came upon me. I think you had that interior, like, oh, like we're going out there and we're going to be out there alone. Like we're flying solo out there. I think that was for you before we got here. And I think when we got here, you just kind of like jumped into things. You just like started to stay busy, started to work, started to do the things that necessary for you to do to be able, you know what I mean? You created a daily routine really fast when we came here.
I mean, I think what it is, I think I understand what you're saying. And I think what it is for me is that like, I know kind of what my day to day looks like. So I knew kind of what I needed to establish here to continue my day to day without it being interrupted too much. So what that looks like on a day-to-day thing is like, I needed to have my computer set up. I needed to have like my a desk area, an office area. I needed to have things like that are pretty basic. Just I wanted to have set up because it made me feel like I wasn't going to lose productivity. I was going to stay like being able to do what I needed to do on a regular basis. So as we were like making the move, that's one of the first things that I set up here. And then when we went back home, it's one of the first things I set up was another home office back home because I brought that office here. So I guess as far as like the actual things, like the comfort things that make me feel like, okay, like I had those things set up and I knew exactly how to set them up. But I was like, when we first started talking about it and we were like, okay, yeah, like we're going to look for a house. We're going to like rent a place. It was a little bit like, oh shit. Like,
well, you know what? We started trying to buy a house when we first got here.
Yeah. And it was like,
we had a realtor and everything.
And that's that was like the nerve wracking part. It was like, okay, like that's like a little bit like, okay, like what do you, like,
it's too much of a commitment.
It's a big investment. It's a big shift. And I mean, you're right. It's like when you come here and you really don't know anybody, like, yeah, we know people here and there. We know people that we're comfortable with, but we don't know them. We've never tested them in the terms of like, if I like needed like help or if there was an emergency or can I count on you type of thing. I mean, it's different than having your entire, like my entire family, your entire family, like for the most part, your friends, your acquaintances, like if you need something, like even from a business side, even from a connections, even if it's just like some you can count on, you can reach out to people and find out like, oh, this, somebody that does this or that does that, and you can maneuver. You can maneuver. Here it's like you're starting completely fresh. So even though we know a few people.
It's not fresh. So the good thing about us is that we work from home. Yeah. So it wasn't like we were looking for a job. We weren't necessarily coming in here to look. We're here to network. We're here to get more work. But we're here with the intention to grow. And I think, and it's dynamic. I was looking to grow internally, mentally. And so I made sure that I went somewhere where I was comfortable. We visited the area often, a lot. And I got to be very comfortable here. Now, can I sit here and say that people, Angelica, that plural, singular. Excuse me. I haven't done this in a while. But are there people here that I can be like, you know what? And we have a quick emergency. I need to call on somebody. Let me call them. Yeah, I believe I do. Now, I've never tested it, and they've never seen me at my worst. Again, because they're new acquaintances, they're new friends, they're new people that we're like beginning to have a relationship with. And so it was scary. It was scary. So to go back to what you were saying, that it wasn't like that, that, yeah, we don't have family here. But literally, we don't have what we had there in the slightest,
But I think from that perspective, like I do feel like for me personally, like I do feel like it's an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow, like to be somewhere where I don't have that safety net. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'm just gonna like, call up one of my brothers, one of my sisters. I'm going to go to my mom's house or whatever. Like, I don't have that safety net here. So it's like, okay, now you have to completely like, not that I can't reach out still, but it's different because it's not like, oh, it's not just around the corner. If we need somebody to go by the house, like we don't have somebody to go by the house.
We don't have anybody here to be like, hey, can you go check the property? Or can you go
leave that in my mailbox? Can you go do this? Yeah. Can you can you bring this over? I need to borrow this. Like, you just don't have that. And like, you can't establish that. I think that's the thing that's like
that's
weird.
That's the hard part.
And I think it's like as grown adults, the other thing that I'm learning is that it's hard to establish like friendships and relationships because I feel like.
You know why? I think I think because there's an expectancy more than just like, hey, hit you up, like, hey, what you doing? Da, 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 da. Like to bullshit around. At an age that we're at, there's a lot of little time to bullshit around, to fuck around. There's a lot more like, hey, like if I'm giving you my time, like I'm taking away time from something else to give to you. And so I think that's why.
Well,
I think that's why those friendships are hard. here.
Even though here also it's like it's a different pace. Like here it's a slower pace than it is. Because we're in Arkansas. I don't know if we said that, but we're in Arkansas,
Northwest Arkansas,
and so there's a different pace from Texas, like Houston, like but a big major city. Like you really feel the change of pace.
Yeah,
and then I think the other thing that's interesting is that we're not like we're not the only as Latinos we're not the majority.
We're not.
So like the other day, like I was just this week, like we were driving by, we were going to walk because it's beautiful here. That's the thing about it that we really love is there's a lot of nature. there's a lot of walking trails, hiking.
You have
trails,
the capacity to walk out
trails,
walk outside without melting.
Yeah,
that kind of like atmosphere, that kind of place.
And it was like we were going out to walk, and we happened to come across like a mariachi playing in the middle of the little town square, and literally like all the Latinos
flocked
in the area were all like sitting on the sidewalk,
sitting on the street, the curves, like, anywhere, everywhere.
And it was a little
to
bit
listen
funny
to that.
It was like, oh man, like you take the things for granted that you do that are every day. Like in Houston and like in Texas, like you see that all the time. Like
you do
mariachis.
You hire them for everything, Yeah.
And it's like this was like a private like party that they were having, obviously.
And they happened to be sitting outside.
And they were sitting outside, and they asked. I guess they hired the mariachis to serenade the people for a certain time of period. And like as we were walking by, we just heard them. Everybody, all the Mexicans.
We seen them. I seen them. I was like, oh, mariachi, Juan, let's go. And he was like, let's go. Like we were supposed to take a walk, put on my shoes, and like we walked towards the mariachi. And we just sat there listening to the sounds of the mariachi. And it was nice. It was nice to like hear that. It was nice to watch them serenade. And then they got up and started to dance like around, it started to make like, what do you call it? Like burla, started to like,
Yeah.
And so it was nice to see that because it's something we're so used to back in Houston. But here it looked like a spectacle.
Yeah, and I think it was like, and what was cool to me was like that we were all like all the Latinos. We kind of caught eyes with each other, and we were all kind of like, "Oh, I see you, like I see you too," and it's like okay, like and it's like okay, we see each other, like we're here, like there's more of us than just us. But I think that's like different, and like so I think like that plays into like the ability to make friends too, because you're not that the culture difference is going to exclude you from being able to connect, but it just it's another factor that like makes you stand out a bit, that more than maybe the next person.
Yeah, here's the thing: when you're not only Hispanic or Latino, but if you're like not Mexican, I don't know how to approach you. Like I know our tendencies. I know like what we might like, what we might enjoy. But people from other cultures that I'm trying to like interact or engage with to hopefully like build a bond with, I don't know how. And so a lot of the people that are here, and if they are Latinos, they tend to be more like very Americanized. They're more American than they are like from their, from their country of origin or their parents' country of origin. They definitely tend to be more Americanized. And so my approach wants to be like, hey, una carne asada or una, let's, even at that sometimes, una carne asada, but I don't know. And it's new.
They don't know what fajitas are here, guys.
I don't even look. I can go down that rabbit hole of a tangent. Don't even fucking bring that shit up, guys.
I was
Texans,
telling somebody this, and
Tejanos, fajitas are not what we fucking like.
And I was telling somebody this, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to like bring your fajitas from Texas and drive them this way."
Oh my like, okay, God!
All right, I will do that. Like I will do that.
But qué lástima that I, the only red meat that I really enjoy and like, I can't have here. It's not what it is, and it hurts. I kid you not, I'd like to go to the carniceria, and we're like, fajita, and they're like pointing at this tray, and I'm like, that's not fucking fajita. No, fajita. They're like right there.
Like literally with like...
I was like, no, that's not it.
Peppers and onions already cut into it, and you're like, what the hell is that? That is not a fajita.
So what fajita here is not what fajita is in Texas. Fajita in Texas is like marinated meat. It's a beef skirt marinated with like seasoning. Like it's overnight and it has its own like little like things. It's the way we marinate. Now we cook it with bell peppers and onions and things like that, and that's how it's served. But here they actually give it to you the way you would serve in raw. The meat is raw and all the vegetables are like cut into it, like sliced, julienne, and it's the way it would be like served, but they give it to you here raw. It's like the weirdest thing, okay? It's the weirdest thing in the world. And I even called my mom and I was like, Mom, how do I like marinate the fajita? Because I've never marinated fajita. We do the easy way. We buy it at carniceria and we bring it back and orale, on the grill it goes. You know what I mean? But no, that's not a thing here.
Yeah, they don't have that here. But I guess going back to what you were saying about like how difficult it is about making friends too. I think the other thing is like I don't know. I think maybe the fact that I think as a like overall like as a people
as a
peoples like I think like we're like we just like we're so into like our own personal little bubbles, like because of the way that we live now. I think everybody's like has so many things to do. Like you have to go to work, you have to pick up the kids, you have to go to this, you have to do that, you're volunteering, you're doing your side projects, and you have your social medias and you got to update your Instagram and all kinds of stuff. And so like people are very like focused on what they've got going on, so they're not really like looking to be like they're like, I think a lot of people's mentality is like, I've got my group of friends, I've got my family, I'm not looking to add to that as like at our age, so I think it's like when you come into a new place,
I guess, yeah,
when you come into a new place and you're like the ones that are like, oh, we're trying to establish friendships
and we're not.
And it's like you have to learn it, and you have to learn how to navigate it. And we're not the first, and we're not going to be the last. But it's just like being able to like experience it. I think is a learning opportunity too for us, because it's like, okay, if we can do that here, then we can go somewhere else and do it too. Yeah. But we've never been in a position where we had to, because we were spoiled that we were in a place that we grew up.
We were in a place where it wasn't necessary for us to like. But we made friendships like in our adults, so that's not.
But we were, think about it, like we were already connected. Like when it was easy to know like even like which networking events to attend. Yeah. Like here we're figuring all of that out. Okay. Because part of that is like you meet people through like your networks, or you meet people through like maybe you're going to school, maybe you're working. Like here we're working from home. We're not going to an office job or anything like that. I think maybe if we would have maybe already established a few more relationships. Yeah. But I think because we're not, like it's more of a challenge. Not that it's impossible.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not out here trying to make like 10 best friends. I'm out here to just like make friendships, but not even if they're temporary. I'm okay with that too. Yeah. Like even if they're temporary, even if they last like 5-10 years. Here's the thing, when I connect with people and I connect with them on a level that is sincere, I would prefer that they become friends for as long as possible. I don't want them to be 5-10 years. I want them to last a while. You know what I mean? But you know what? I feel like I've been watching some videos, Juan, and I feel like this is an ongoing conversation with a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of adults, of the way we are right now.
Yeah, a lot of adults are like seeking that. They're wanting to seek and connect with other adults. And correct me if I'm wrong, listeners. Do you find that a problem or an issue with you also, where you're like wanting to connect with other like adults, and are you having a hard time, or do you find it easy? Like I'm trying to like find ways to do it. I know some people connect with like certain aspects, right? Like here, it's a biking community. A lot of people like are able to connect like that. They like, after they go bike, I guess there's bonding there. Then they'll hit up like some restaurants, or they'll hit up like some breweries around here. And then, or they're like, they all take an interest in like dancing or something, and they all go off to like go dance. And then right afterwards, they'll like hang out and talk a little bit. Maybe there's those opportunities, but I prefer the kind where there isn't really anything that we both necessarily have a big interest in, but we really just maybe like we've found we found a rhythm. You know what I mean? We found a place where we're comfortable with each other, and we can bond off of that. Where I like who you are, and I would love to get to know you, type of thing. Yeah, friendships are so complicated and hard, the same way relationships are.
But like, I'll give you an example. Like earlier, like this month, like I went out to take the trash in the middle of the like not in the middle of the night, but like late at night, it was already dark, and I took out the trash cans and I was putting them. And here the trash comes on Wednesday, so it was a Tuesday night. So I'm putting out the trash cans. The neighbor comes out and he was like sweeping his yard or something in the middle of in the dark.
In the dark.
And so he sees me, I see him. He's like, "Hey, how are you?" And I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And I feel like we both wanted to continue the conversation. But I turned around and walked inside, and he kept sweeping, and then he went inside. But it was awkward because we were like, you don't do that, right? Anymore. So it was like we
don't come from a neighborhood where you do that, so I don't know.
So he turned around, I turned around, and we just went inside. But I was like, I think there's something to be said for like the old way of doing things where your neighbors would like welcome you by bringing something over, or you would walk over to your neighbors and introduce yourselves. Like I never lived in a household where we did that, but I saw it on TV.
I don't know.
And that made me think that at the moment I was like, that's probably a good way to meet like people, to start at least meeting people, is to start talking to your neighbors. Although some people might advise against that, like depending on where you live, like don't talk to your neighbors.
I don't know if I'm interested in getting to know my neighbor.
No?
No.
I don't know. I do. I
like my comfort of like going home and just like getting away, not feeling like I need to like address my neighbor and be like, "How's it going? How are y'all? Oh, nice lawn." Like I don't know.
Just because I know them doesn't mean I have to address them every time I see them. Like
yeah, but then like if you say hi to them every time you see them, or if you introduce them or you know them, every time, like, you would have to say what's up every time you see them. Otherwise, they'd be like, "What's wrong with the neighbor today? They must be in a bad mood. They didn't say hi. I was out there. Like, they seen me out there." You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
like, it creates a... I don't...
But see, that's the issue.
You know what I mean?
That's the issue. I think that's what a lot of people think is like, oh, you know, I don't want to bother like with having to like interact with people. And it's like...
No, I do want to bother with interacting with people, but I don't want to. I don't want it to be because like of a proximity. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be because it's my neighbor. Like we have to be friends. Like,
but I don't want them to be my friends. I just want to like.
Juan, if you're sitting there, you're taking out the trash, and you're, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, if you start developing like some form of sort of connection, then. Yeah, it's going to like into that.
But I feel from just saying hey when you're taking out the trash to like establishing a relationship, I think there's a long like step there. So I don't think me making like nice conversation with a neighbor is really like establishing a relationship unless you know I have a barbecue, they have a barbecue, I invite them over, they invite me over, and then we start getting to know each other a bit more. But if it's just
our neighbors are very quiet, very like sort of to them. Like the neighbor next door, I seen her talking. She was talking on the sidewalk with another neighbor, and I got off the car, and they both like looked at me, and they're like, "Hi, how's it going?" I was like, "Hi, how's it going?" And I was like, "Oop, I gotta go inside." And like ran inside. I was like, I don't even know what's going on. Maybe they were like talking about like a situation that was going on with the neighborhood. But you know what? We're renting here, so look, we're here for a year. So unless something changes, then it's different. Okay, then I'd want to be like, I should probably know my neighbor next door, because if something happens, I need to like, can I just like have your number where I can text you and be like, write it down somewhere and be like, "Hey, so and so, is everything okay? Like, I heard, you know, stuff happening."
No, and I know that maybe it's not practical, but it just made me, in that moment, it made me think back to like the way that I know that it used to be, like, and that I've heard that it was before, or like where neighbors used to talk to each other, and neighbors used to like, now like you can live next to somebody for like years and not know anything about them.
Yeah.
Like we did that in our neighborhood. Like we lived next to some of our neighbors for years.
Never knew them.
And we never really like crossed words with them.
Well, our neighbors right now in Houston, we don't know who the hell, we don't know them by name. We know they have kids, How many?
Like
I can't tell you.
What you observe, what you see, like you can kind of make assumptions like, oh, okay, like they had a kid, the kid grew up. Looks like the kid went out to college. He comes back every couple of months. It looks like he's in college. Like,
yeah, the ones, yeah, there's like some across the street and there's some next to us. Like the ones next to us, I can't tell you like how many kids they have.
Yeah.
I can't, like, I don't know. I know like our other neighbor who she lives alone. Or at least I thought she did. I don't know, but I know she's there. And it looks like she's retired, maybe, kind of, sort of. I don't know. That's as much as I know. But that's what I'm saying, though, Juan. It's that you get so involved, like, you know what I mean? It's like with your family where you get so involved. When it comes to your neighbors, you get so involved where you start to see them on a daily basis and you start to understand who they are and how many there are and who's who and, how many dogs they potentially have, how many they don't. And you start to do this assumption thing where I don't like to do that. Like, so with friendships, I don't have to assume. You can tell me, for all I know, you can be lying to me. You can tell me as much as or as little as you want. Excuse me. Like my words are all over the place. You can tell me as much or as little as you want. And I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have the slightest clue. And I like it like that. There's this like, anonymity. Is that the word? Anonymity to that. To like, not tell me too much. Or tell me just enough. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? Here, we all, like, I made up my stories already from the neighbors based on what I've seen the last few days. I don't know how much of that is true. And they can tell me, they're like, oh, we have an amazing relationship. You lying ass. I heard y'all fucking yelling the other day. What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but I think that's always true. Like, I mean, you could think you know somebody really well, and the whole time they're putting on a facade for you, and you don't know them at all.
Yeah.
So.
But I'd rather you tell me. I'd rather you show you. I'd rather it be you telling me.
I'd rather you lie to me and tell me what you want me to believe than than for me to get to know you.
No, I want you to tell me as much as you want to tell me. And if you allow me to in your circle, if you allow me in on the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I start to come around you and maybe your family and maybe I start to understand what you do for work and I start to see you like in action during work or interaction with your kids to see the kind of relationship you have with them, to see what's going on, like then that becomes different. And I like that. I like the killing me slowly type of situation.
For me personally, like I don't really know whether I'm looking to make like lifelong friends, whether I'm looking to make friends for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like open. Like I'm like if I happen to meet the neighbors and we happen to talk and we get to know each other and like then we know each other as like neighbors, or like if I happen to meet somebody in a networking event and whatever, like I'm open. But I would like to have a little bit like the network that we had in Houston, where eventually, and I know it's going to take time.
Yeah.
But I would like to eventually have a network like we did in Houston.
I'm still building friendships in Houston.
Where we could
That's the luxury.
Where we could know like, who did what. We could refer people to each other.
Yeah.
We could connect people to each other, where we, people would come to us and look for us for certain things and this and that. I like that. I miss that. So I do want to establish something similar to that, a network of sorts for ourselves here.
Well, I'm still, like I said, I'm still like connecting with people in Houston. Like I'm still like networking online, but I'm still like making sure I maintain those relationships because I don't want them to fade away just because I moved away. I don't want them to fade away because my house is still there. Like I'm still, even if we quote unquote move or live full time here in Arkansas, like I'm still going to Houston. Like I'm trying to like mentally prepare myself to go to Houston, to not miss going to Houston at least once every 3 months, whether that be for a whole month to like 2 weeks or maybe even a week. I don't know, but I'm going to be in Houston at least every 3 months if we plan to like relocate here, full time.
But I mean, I think that what you definitely can tell. I think when we were in Houston, like I felt like it was a small town, like a big small town. But now this is a big small town, and this is a lot smaller. They don't even have 1 million people here yet. So So this compared to Houston, where like I think what was the last number we had, like 4 million or something, is very different. So even when we went back,
here everybody doesn't run in the same circle, so it's different here. It's definitely different here.
So even when we went back the last time, and you know we started driving into the city, and everybody was driving really aggressive, and they were like you know people honking at you, and flicking you off, and doing all kinds of crazy shit, and you're like, okay, like it's different. You can tell the difference now. You feel the difference of like being in Houston.
Here, people don't honk at you. If they do, it's for different reasons. Like I definitely, when somebody honks, everybody like turns around like, the fuck are you doing? Like in Houston, it's normal. It's, you know, it's a way of life. It's a pastime, learning how to honk your horn. Like it's just something you do. Here, it's not. It's considered aggressive.
And then by the on the flip side, like here, like in Houston, you don't get looked at twice for most of the time when you're like, no matter what you're doing, like people just let you be and they don't really care.
Yeah,
and,
they can care less.
And here you will get looked up and down, and you will get
stared at.
People will do a double take on you, and I don't know that that's that there's any negative connotation behind that. Maybe it's just an oddity, but like you will get that much more, and you're like, okay.
I think here, Juan, we stand out for some reason.
Okay, you know what? That's true. I think I'm gonna say this, and like hopefully nobody like takes it the wrong way. But like I think here, when people see people like us, and I think especially where we are right now, I think they like make assumptions that we don't speak the language, that we that we don't work, like that we like work cleaning houses, or that we like mow the lawn, or that we do maintenance, and like, there's nothing wrong with any of that.
Yeah.
But I think people make the assumption. So when they find out that we don't, or we don't, we like don't, like not that we tell them like, hey, we don't do this. Like, but you can just like by our interactions, by the fact that we're in the same environments or whatever, it's a little bit like an oddity. You're like an oddball. So it's like
you are. So so for those who don't know, and I'm sure if you've listened to at least an episode or two, you know that we are pretty much very proud Latinos. We're very proud Mexican Americans. And we don't make light of that. We don't put that in we don't put that like aside. We stand in who we are. We stand in our truth a lot. And it's just who we are. And I think, and we carry that here. And so here we don't distinct ourselves. We don't put on like shirts that say we're Latino. Like we don't yell it. Like we live the way and which we are. And you can tell by either the way we dress or the way we communicate or the way we talk, where we slide back and forth between Spanish and English, or we use the whole hodgepodge of like, what would you call it? What is the word? What is the term? Like Spanglish. Like it's just a normal thing for us. And maybe it's because we're from Texas, but it's just normal for us to slip in and out of the conversation of Spanish and English, or to mix both. And so we talk like that in public, and we talk like that. And if I see you're Latino and I happen to know you know the language of Spanish, some Spanish words don't translate into English, and it's easier for me to say the word in Spanish than it is to me to say it in English if there's a saying or if there's whatever. And we communicate like that. And so, but here, I feel like a lot of people, they either speak their native language entirely or they speak English entirely, and they do differentiate. You know what I mean? When they're in a group of people, when they're in a group of very Americanized again, like set of people, they kind of like what is that word? They code switch a lot here. And so, but we tend not to, because we've made it an effort not to. Yeah. And so I think that's why we stand out. And so the way, again, it comes back to the way we, simply by like dressing the way we dress, or even by the makeup I wear, or the shoes, or the selective way that we just are, we do stand out a little bit sometimes. And I didn't know that until here, I didn't know we were any different. And I don't think we're any different. And it doesn't bother me at all. People don't bother me. And maybe it's different for them. And I'm okay with that. That's okay. And it's different for me to get get a few double takes when we're out in public.
Yeah, I mean, the other day I was at a networking event and somebody turned in there like, "Oh, and we also speak Hispanic here." And they look
those happen too. Yeah.
And they look like dead at me because I was like, I think I was one of like 2 Latinos in the room, but I was like the more like
the more Latino-ish.
I was the more noticeable one. And she was like, and the person said, we speak Hispanic here. I didn't take offense to it. I mean, I think that to me that's the exciting part also of being here is the fact that I know that this area is growing very rapidly, and a big part of the growth that's happening here is Latino. So to be here like on the ground when that growth is happening and to see that growth, because I think that like that even that expression is a sign of the growth that's happening behind the scenes, that people are acknowledging, maybe they don't understand the right terminology to use yet, but it's acknowledging, hey, we speak Spanish, so,
hey, we welcome you. It's kind of a thing that I the way I felt it.
And so I feel like the momentum is here, and that's what's exciting about being here for us, and for me, like too, especially like is that momentum, and I feel like that growth is happening, and to be able to witness it and be a part of it is cool. And I think that's like growing pains, like things like that are going to happen. People are going to do double takes and this and that. And it's just growing pain. So like when I talk about it here, like I'm not talking about it to be like, oh, I want to get on my soapbox and complain. Like, it's more like I just want to, like, share with you guys that, like, when that stuff happens and we know it's noticeable from Texas to here, it's a difference.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. And it's just like, it's something that you just can't like, ignore it.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh, no, that didn't happen.
Yeah. So here's what I do want to do is I want to continue the conversation. But what I want to do right now is stop the conversation because I want to do a part 2. Okay, so this is part 1, part 2. But if you're listening to this and you're listening to the fall end of this, I want you to go onto Apple Podcast and subscribe to the podcast itself. Go on. If you're listening from the website, please go over to podcast, the podcast app or wherever you're listening to, and subscribe and let us know what you think of the podcast. Is this a topic that you're interested in? Are there other topics that you might be interested? Did you listen to our other podcast, or did you miss us at all? Like, what did you think? Rate us, comment, and review. So here, Juan, if you've listened to this, stay tuned for the other part 2 coming up next. But for now, Juan, can you just tell the camera where to find us really quick? And I forgot our sign off.
Okay, well, before I do that, I just want to say for those that are listening, I would invite you to come and watch the video because we have our new backdrop. Or like you got to see this. So this is handmade, handcrafted, hand painted.
Look, I didn't want a white wall, so I had to figure something out.
So Angelica made this beautiful design that you see behind us. So like if you're listening and you want to see it, go to our Facebook or YouTube channel and like you can find it and you can see it. It's pretty awesome. It looks pretty good on camera. And so I would say, look at that. Come look at that. And then the other thing I'll say is, real quick, I'm just going to shout out the Houston Health Department because I am working with them currently, and they are doing still continuing to work for the pandemic, and so I just want to shout them out real quick. And
still continue to work for the
for the public health of Houston,
getting the word out there, getting the message out there that how to take care of yourself, and the new updates. Yes, that's what they're doing. The new updates on like what's happening with COVID.
Yeah, and they're vaccinating children, from 5 to 12 years old now as well. So I would invite you to go check out their website, the Houston Health Department, and get details about where you can get you vaccinated, and all the information about COVID related information. But with that, like Angelica said, give us a rating, a review on your listening platform of choice, and you can always find us on juanofwords.com. Or just look for us on your podcast listening platform. And with that,
we'll see you next time.
Hasta luego.
Adios.